Welcome to 5 Star Weekly. The MLS's back schedule has finally been revealed, and 2 LA United players have tested positive for COVID-19. Also, Tanner reveals a brand new quiz show coming up in the third segment. All that and more coming up. Welcome to the show, 5 Star fam. I'm AJ, and this is Tanner and Marc. Before we get into it, become a member of the notification squad by hitting the bell next to the subscribe button on YouTube. This segment is sponsored by Thinking Man Tavern, a cozy Decatur neighborhood pub. Grab a tasty beverage from a wide variety of selections and a plate of something delicious from the menu. To go, check out Thinking Man Tavern. Follow our Twitch for new streams and surprises on Tuesdays and Thursdays starting at 9 p.m. on twitch.tv/Atl Utd Fan TV. So let's get into the news, and as I said at the top of the show, yes, the MLS's back schedule has been revealed, and we find out that, yes, July 11th is our first fixture date against the New York Red Bulls. That's at 8 p.m. on Fox. Then our next one is July 16th, 5 days later, against Cincinnati at a brisk 9 a.m. On ESPN. And then the third match will be July 21st, also 5 days later, against Columbus at 8 p.m. So it looks like we have a good variance of that. And it also seems that they've kind of reformatted the whole thing a little bit in terms of Group A. Yeah, the fourth place team will possibly be able to get that chance to, kind of advance if they are doing well enough, and then the rest of it will be the best of the third place teams. And so, there's still a lot of spots, it seems like, then, to move forward in the tournament. So really, for us, maybe it's not to screw it up, right, guys?
I mean, I think Atlanta United will be okay. You probably just have to get 3-4 points, and you'll be good to go to get the top 2 spots, because the top 2 spots from the group go, right?
Yes.
Indeed.
Yeah, so we'll be fine. I think we'll be fine. Even without Joseph, I think we'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, besides Joseph, everybody else should theoretically be healthy. We'll get to that other news in a bit. But, we still need players to put the ball in the back of the net, of course. But, in terms of the schedule, is there anything that kind of glares out at you as anything more difficult than anything else? Marc?
No, I mean, I think it's interesting. Well, really, it's expected that they would showcase the Red Bulls match. And so, of course, our first match is against Red Bulls. It's on Saturday night. It's on Fox, I think Big Fox. So, I guess it'll be interesting. That'll be an interesting first test. I think in terms of how LA United will approach this, you have Cincinnati next, which is probably the weakest team in the group. So if you can manage a draw versus Red Bulls and get the win versus Cincy, you're probably in a pretty good spot. So I think, especially having not played in so long, we can't really expect them to come firing out of the blocks in terms of good football. So I think that first match in particular, it'll almost be like a preseason approach where, obviously you put in the miles in terms of running, and then, you kind of hope that you can have enough quality to scrape a goal or two and at least earn a point out of it. So I think that's I think in terms of expectations, that's probably what I expect.
Yeah. And so, today on June 24th, the first team has arrived in Florida in the San Jose Earthquakes. And with that, I mean, it sets forth the 2 weeks that the preparation going into the first match on July 8th for many of the other teams. But for LA United, we get to probably, kind of delay our arrival to COVID-infested Florida for a little bit of time. That also has been a thing of contention before the start of this MLS's back tournament. Especially, cases keep rising every single day. You have seen the likes of Julian Gressel voice his worry, I think warranted worry. In the face of this, what are they going to face down there? Do you guys feel like it's still kind of viable for them to go down there, or has this COVID-19 kind of rising cases down there maybe scared you off? Tanner?
I mean, for me, there's a couple arguments here. You have the one argument of, other leagues had players test positive before the leagues got back going, and the same thing was going to obviously happen here. But I think the other thing is the way, if you look at how the Bundesliga is handling it, even how, for all their flaws, how England's been handling it, those countries have been doing a little bit better in terms of controlling the outbreak of COVID, and their rates have now decreased, whereas the U.S.'s are increasing currently. So that's a concern. I feel like the likelihood of players contracting it while they're there is high, and the problem is that if a player contracts it, that's a whole lot of contact tracing you got to do right there. I mean, if they had played in a game, which is possible, despite a test, that could happen, and then who do you just quarantine 2 teams, and now they're not playing their games anymore? I don't know. I've never liked the tournament in the first place, so I think there's some very interesting questions that are there to be asked for sure.
Yeah. Marc?
I think one of my biggest points of contention that I keep coming back to, and we talked about this on the show, AJ, I think you really brought this point up, was that the MLS players don't really have a choice in the same way that other leagues who are resuming play do. I mean, for context of in the U.S., the NWSL, whose tournament is going to start before, they do have a choice. And some big players, some notable players like Megan Rapinoe, have decided not to participate, and there's no penalty for that. As far as I understand, I don't think there's been any big players in Premier League or any of the big leagues that have decided to opt out, but I think those players would have had the backing of their club. I know N'Golo Kant for Chelsea was talking about it, and the message the whole time from the club was, we back him whatever his decision is. He eventually ended up playing, of course. So I do feel for the players in that regard, because they are going to an area where the cases themselves are spiking, and really and truly they're increasing in a lot of states, including Georgia. And then, the other thing is, when you're in that bubble, I've made this point before, you have to trust a lot of people. Like, going back to the NWSL, the Orlando Pride had to drop out because essentially a couple people decided to go to a bar. Now think of all the MLS teams, players who are in there, down there, you know what I mean? Will one of them make a decision like that and then bring it back to the bubble? And who knows? If I were a player, I would definitely be concerned. That's all I can say.
Right. Because it's also, they're saying, there will be plenty of activities for them to do down there and whatnot. But, even if it's in the bubble, all it takes is one person and unknowingly, and then there it is, it's spread. It really has to speak on each culture of each team to make sure that they're, prepared well enough going down there that they will behave, essentially. And that's, we're talking about sometimes teenagers and mid-20s and also 30-year-olds, obviously. But, sometimes, I think we've all been a little bit immature in our younger days. So, you never know who you might, encounter somebody, not doing what they should be. But anyway, so yes, 2 weeks from now, they will be 2 weeks more or less. They will be down there in Disney if all goes well. Now, in terms of, some people have wanted maybe lineups from us. I think maybe we'll kind of talk about them when it's closer to each match because it's still about a couple weeks away. And there's 5 days each, essentially, kind of between these matches, so there will be plenty of time to prepare. I think we've kind of softly talked about it a little bit. Tanner has talked about they're wanting there to be a false 9. Marc, I don't think you've actually said your thoughts on a specific lineup, but I think it's one of those we'll eventually get to it on kind of subsequent episodes coming up, but. It will still, after that, it will still come thick and fast in terms of the schedule. And so, it will still be, I expect us to advance. And so, we'll still have to really, really be on it. But anyway, so moving on from that, in terms of COVID-19 and, positive tests, Atl Utd, they revealed last week that one of them got it and then another player got it. And they were quarantined. They were, both asymptomatic, which is great. but still, the actual implications of being asymptomatic, we still don't know the extent of that and if there are any like long-term repercussions and in terms of that. But in regards to LA United having 2 COVID-19 positive tests, like also they have been not revealing who the players are. So I think that's in lieu of the privacy of each of the players. So that's maybe it's like future contract talks and future just anything. If they're known to have COVID-19, will that affect how much money they can get? Because sometimes, it might be where if they are positive and if they actually show symptoms, will they be able to perform at the highest level that they can? I mean, this could really impact a lot of things. But what are your guys' thoughts on the COVID-19 positive tests?
I mean, I think that long term it's so hard to speculate if it will have that. I mean, obviously you have to keep an open mind that there could be long term repercussions, but as of now, nothing has been seen so far. So I think you'll have to wait to see how that develops before clubs are making decisions on players based upon whether they test positive or not. Otherwise, Paulo Dybala is screwed. But the thing is that I feel like if you get infected during the tournament, that's my thing. Is like, what happens if someone gets infected during the tournament and they've played in the game or they're around the squad? Like, do you cancel the match? And since these matches are supposed to count for points, what do you do to that team? Like, what's going to happen there? And I mean, I don't exactly have the most faith in the world that MLS is going to answer those questions or handle things correctly if issues do arise. I think that's my big issue.
Mm-hmm. And Darren Eales has been saying though in kind of press conferences over Zoom, saying that these protocols in place is showing that these practices have been working. Marc, do you agree?
I mean, I guess, if you're regularly testing, there will be positive cases, and we'll just, it's as long as the right protocols in place, and you hope that obviously you hope that all the players are asymptomatic, which I think most of these cases seem to be in terms of professional athletes. So I mean, like, hearing about a positive test, of course, is worrying, but then I guess when you take into account the size of the team, it kind of makes sense. It's the differences between MLS versus other leagues is where we are in terms of the world. You know what I mean? And so it's just that increases the risk. So we just have to place our faith in MLS that they have the right protocols.
Right.
So.
Yeah, but and probably a tall order if you're like Tanner and you don't have a lot of faith in our commissioner. So.
Did you see the Onion headline?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. You can go ahead and say the
name.
So good.
Yeah, Don Garber. Don. Yep. But anyway, so moving on from that, there was a transfer rumor with Ezequiel Barco talking with TYC Sports this past week, essentially saying that Serie A side Fiorentina and some Ligue 1 sides have contacted his agent. Now, the seriousness of those talks probably will remain to be seen, but it likely is a little bit too early for him to move on at the moment, especially in the middle of a pandemic. But also Darren Eales spoke about that rumor, saying that essentially there hasn't been any contact from any of the teams, and so. The plausibility of this rumor, I mean, it just sounds like there's just some smoke and Barco probably just wanting to kind of stoke the fire a little bit. But what do you guys think about it?
Sorry.
Go ahead, yeah.
I'm fine with it, to be honest. It was going to happen at some point in time. I don't think necessarily he's going to be like agitating for a move because he knows the financial situation, and I imagine that was made crystal clear to him. But we know that it's always been his goal to move on, and honestly, with this whole season shortened, if he can put in really good performances in a short time frame to drive the price up, then you might be able to move him after the end of the season and get north of $20 million, and with no buyout clause, I believe, no buyout fee associated really with it, like it drops down a lot. That's a pretty hefty chunk, and you have to accept that his value is going to go down a little bit because the market's changed, I think, because of COVID, in terms of financially how much teams can afford to pay. So I think you have to accept that there's a little bit of a price drop, but still anything in the 20s with no sell-on clause, it's pretty good.
Yeah, so it would almost kind of behoove us to wait maybe another transfer window, maybe two, to sell him, right? What do you think, Marc?
Yeah, exactly. I think depends on really how many games MLS can pull off in the fall, in the spring of 2021. But I think the summer of 21 is a realistic time for Barco to move. I think, hopefully the situation here and in Italy and in other places will be more contained, and it'll be less hectic, I guess, if you will. But yeah, I think everybody understands kind of what's happening and the real life implications. But I think summer 21 is a realistic time for Barco to target his move to Europe.
Yeah. So moving on from that, another transfer rumor. This one, a report from The Athletic, saying that LGP, our good old friend Leandro Gonzalez Perez, is going to move to Inter Miami, and that's before the tournament starts in Orlando. Big yawn by whomever.
Big yawn.
My bad.
But all good, all good.
It's fine. It's middle of the afternoon. It happens.
It happens. But yeah, and so LGP could join Inter Miami in the coming weeks. Really, it pretty much is probably any day now. Now, whatever you thought about LGP as a fan, I mean, he definitely is one of the top center backs in MLS. And obviously he comes with a yellow card. He comes with a little bit of a spat with a referee here and there. But yeah, he is, if not anything, very consistent in all of that. But yeah, like in terms of seeing him go to Inter Miami, a team that we will probably on a regular season face him about 3 times a year. Is this something that you guys like? I mean, does it make Inter Miami stronger? What do you guys think, Marc?
Yeah, I definitely think it makes them stronger. For one, I'm happy for him. I always have love for LGP, and I think he will get more love in MLS than he would get in Liga MX. And so, yeah, I definitely agree. He's one of the best center backs in the league. And I think for Inter Miami, what they're getting beyond a really good defender is a glue guy. Like he did that at Atlanta United. It was like at his place where the team would gather and so on off the field, and that chemistry is important. I think that if he can have that same type of influence in Inter Miami's locker room, I think that would go a long way towards them being, a team that actually competes at the top of the league and not just like another team.
Yeah, and it seems like our good old friend Paul McDonough is up to his old tricks again, wherever he goes, pretty much, he brings someone and multiple players that he's either brought into that team. And yeah, I mean, yet again, another guy along with Mikey Ambrose. But yeah, he was doing pretty well at Cholos even. So it kind of really makes you wonder what happened in pretty much 6 months' time that now he's going and moving on to another MLS club that quickly. Tanner.
I mean, if they see that there's a profit to be made, if they're making more off the transfer deal than what they paid, then that's probably, for a team like them, happy days. Take that money, especially in today's market, take that money and run with it. As far as, Inter Miami, yeah, it's kind of what Marc said. He's a great player. He's a player that you can win the league with, clearly, at center back. So, he brings in an experience. He brings in a winning mentality. He's a glue guy. And, yeah, it's frustrating because, I would have preferred him stay in Atlanta. I mean, as well as adding Meza, to be perfectly honest with you, because I think having depth at that center back position is really important. And, unfortunately, things happened and, that wasn't able to happen. And now he'll be playing against you, which will be frustrating because he's a shithouser. And so Miami are getting a guy that does that really, really well. But also, he's the type of guy that, when Atlanta United do play, the team will be very familiar with how he plays and what to get out of him. That he's going to foul guys a lot of the time, and he's going to pick up bookings. And when you have guys like PT and Joseph and Barco running at you, I imagine they'll probably be able to draw him into fouls as well. So, it's good for them. But at the same time, I think Atlanta United's in a good place with Meza, and we'll see what happens. But obviously, great loss of LGP.
Yeah. Yet another transfer rumor. I mean, kind of very loose on this one. Rumor with Jurgen Damm, who's been very just over this past kind of, I would say like 8 months has been linked with LA United, whether rightly or wrongly. But he officially departed Tigres last week, and reports out of Mexico linked him with us again. But our head coach said in March, nobody from the team has told me about that player. MLS, these players like him to raise the level, but we're not in contact with him. And just to give a little bit of a profile for Dam is that he was at least reported to be the second fastest player in the world at one point, and he has the winger has 18 goals in 268 career appearances. So not exactly kind of lighting any league on fire that he's been in. But what do you guys think of the plausibility of a player like Dam, not only on Atlanta United but coming into the league?
I don't know. I just don't get this rumor. It's been out there for a while, but I just I'm looking at the numbers. I'll admit I haven't actually watched him play, but just looking at the numbers, I'm just like, it seems like I'm perfectly fine going forward with Emmanuel Castro and Moreni and so on. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't see what this guy's adding to that we don't already have. Like, it's not even necessarily a position, I think, where we're out of depth, so I don't know. I don't get it.
Danner?
I'm the same place. I mean, with the wages I imagine you'd want for a player like that, Tigres let him walk. That I think says a little bit of something as well, because we want to be on. If we want to be on Tigres level, we shouldn't be picking up guys or letting go for free. I think other positions, like Marc said, there's other positions that need strengthening ahead of that one. So that's it for me.
Yeah, I mean, somewhere in the fullback range that we need to maybe fill a little bit more as well. I think for me, Dam just lacks too much of an end product. Where he might be pacey and he might be a good reclamation project in MLS, but at what wage? He might be on a free, but still, it's like, I mean, MLS with its salary structure, you can't just be taking on projects, expensive projects at that. So it's a weird one, and I really highly doubt that it's going to happen. So, and he also, I think, spoke to some media recently saying that the teams that you see me link with, it will not happen. There will be a surprise. So. I think that says a lot too. So, anyway, moving on from that, even more ridiculous. We're somewhat in a silly season of sorts, but on a Zoom call, Darren Eales cheekily had on his whiteboard the likes of some nobodies like Cristiano Ronaldo, Lionel Messi, Antoine Greizmann, and Gareth Bale, and also his digital team director in Matt Moore. But these names, I mean, obviously some of the best players in the game, or maybe some of the best former players in the game, former best players rather. That's better. But who's for you guys the most? I think one, the most plausible to come to MLS, and then two, who would come to Atlanta United? So we'll go to Marc first.
Well, I think I have the same answer for both of those questions. It's like Antoine Greizmann. You see those rumors where he likes MLS posts, or he talks about playing in MLS. I don't know how much of that to buy in. I certainly don't think it's going to happen. Realistically, I don't think that's going to happen in the next couple of seasons. But I don't know. He's having a tough time in Barcelona, and in terms of settling in Atlanta, I guess the Greizmann, I think, would fit in fine here. I think he might like the culture here. So
I'm gonna go not so much. I think I agree with Marc about Antoine Greizmann being the player to come here. He's talked about it, and honestly, it might not be too long because it depends on him, because he loves the United States. He loves basketball. He loves all that, and for him, maybe if he's accomplished what he wants to accomplish and has done what he wants to do, he's going to go to Inter Miami if he goes anywhere, because he wears long sleeves because of David Beckham. He wears 7 because of David Beckham. He modeled his game a lot, and he wanted to be like David Beckham. Was his favorite player growing up. So, he's going to go want to play for David Beckham in Miami, of all places, of course. I think Ronaldo seems like a very LA type guy to me. I could see him talking up at one of those clubs, possibly. Honestly, I don't know if Atlanta United would ever get those type of guys. I mean, the dream would obviously be Messi, but we're probably one of the few teams that can afford his wages, but you're not going to get a Messi with a Frank de Boer as a manager. Sorry.
Damn. Yeah, no, I agree with that first bit. I mean, it's obviously Greizmann, but yeah, Bale, I think with the connection with Darren Eales, that, the whole Spurs connection, that might be the most plausible for Atlanta United if we were ever to go for a DP and of these guys, because, yeah, we're not maybe as, I mean, in MLS, we're definitely a heavyweight. Yeah, that's obvious, but in terms of kind of a worldview, I don't think we are maybe as well known around the world as LA, Miami even, because of just, I think, more so of the weather and whatnot. So, but for me, yeah, I would never want to see Bale on Atlanta United.
Yeah,
Plausible.
He'd be hurt all the time.
Yeah, plausible doesn't mean that I want him. But anyway, so moving on from that. Yeah, President Darren Eales also talked about some other things in those Zoom conferences. He talked about the possibilities of watch parties at the Home Depot backyard for kind of drive-in watch parties. That would be kind of pretty awesome. We'll kind of roll through these a little bit. But yeah, I think maybe in lieu of actually having people at the game inside the stadium, having people kind of go through like a drive-in, sitting in their own cars, watching on a big screen in the backyard, might not be too bad. And I guess, pay a little bit to do that. And that wouldn't be too bad. But also he spoke about the club's stance on racial injustice, saying that Atlanta United has created an anti-racism and social justice working group within the club that includes employees and players. He said, quote, "We have a higher duty here with Atlanta United to not just acknowledge that injustice, but to do something about it." I think that's something that's obviously very needed in this time. But for him to be vocal about a little bit of that is good. And hopefully, yeah, they actually put their money where their mouth is and really, I think, yeah, do what everyone on this podcast at least wants them to do, and yeah, be even more vocal, kind of really, really say those words on those social media posts, the racism, the Black Lives Matter, like that type of stuff we want to see from the team. But yeah, so moving on from that, a little bit more lighthearted than everything before, Jose Martinez has kind of been on a boat lately. And, just for the past weekend, it seems like he's out somewhere on a little speedboat, kind of enjoying, kind of mostly pretty solitary, unless somebody took that photo of him on the boat, so obviously there's somebody with him. But hopefully it's somebody that he's living with. Do you guys think it's Lake Lanier? Like, do you guys think it's maybe somewhere in Florida?
He looks tropics. He looked somewhere tropical. Yeah. He does not look very Georgia.
Yeah.
Right. Lake Lanier's water is maybe a little too brown and muddy.
Yeah,
for
not
all
that shade of blue.
Yeah. And also maybe just a little too cursed, so maybe happily he's not on Lake Lanier.
Yeah, I'd probably best say that as well. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, but so if he is in Florida, I mean, yeah, like on Father's Day, he put out a little poster of him in a suit and top hat. So I think he was at least in town on that day, and then in the couple days since, maybe he's in Florida. But either way, I mean, he seems to be kind of taking advantage of just maybe taking a mental break from all this, which I think if he's doing it safely is real good. But anyway, so moving on from that, over 70 black MLS players have formed a new organization, the Black Players Coalition, to fight racism across the U.S. and Canada. That's fantastic to see. Pretty much they're unifying and in solidarity to make sure that the social injustices that they are facing, not only in the league but in the real world, they can make some changes and some impacts against all of that. You've also seen the likes of holy crap, can't remember his name all of a sudden, but Voice Now, he started that. The old Columbus Crew goalkeeper, help me out, guys. Zach Steffen. Zach Steffen, there we go. Yeah, and so both of those organizations now are fighting social injustice and really kind of sticking up for themselves in the Black Lives Matter movement. So absolutely great to see. And yeah, MLS was backing that as well. So yeah, we absolutely need more of this. But anyway, so moving on from all of that into world football. So Real Madrid find themselves behind Barca again after Quique Setien's side. They snuck past Athletic Bilbao. Yeah, that makes it an even tighter. It was back and forth essentially in La Liga. I mean, yeah, last week we were talking about, Barca was 5 points up, and then, they had a 2-point lead, and then they were down in the league. Now it's, it truly looks like it's a dogfight in La Liga, it seems. You guys have any thoughts on that real quick?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting in La Liga because I think if you're a fan of the Premier League, you're used to goal difference being the second tiebreaker. So Barcelona, actually, a lot of the players are being really negative about their chances of winning the title because they don't think Madrid are going to drop points the rest of the season. And Madrid, if they win, will be level with them on points, but they have the tiebreaker in terms of the head-to-head. So they know that if they both keep winning towards the end of the season, which is quite likely, that Real Madrid are going to eventually be champions because they have the head-to-head over Barcelona. So it's tight. It's going to be, which one drops points in this really weird time. And to be perfectly honest with you, with the way that they've been playing, my gut feeling says Barcelona will be the first team to drop points and blink.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have the means to watch La Liga. I don't have BN, but from all the analysis that I watch, and like my buddy, my really good friend who's a Barcelona fan, they just don't look good, and it's still very dependent on Messi, going through Messi. We just talked about Greizmann, he struggles to make an impact, and he doesn't even really play to his natural position. It's just like a lot of weird stuff going on in Barcelona. Players who maybe shouldn't be playing are playing. It just seemed like Madrid have a bit of a bounce, have come back from the break stronger. Eden Hazard, my boy, he has been looking good since the break. So I hope he really does the business at Madrid, and I would like to see him win this title with Madrid for sure.
Yeah, and moving on to the Prem, Liverpool. In terms of Jurgen Klopp, he has been talking about how good Manchester City has looked coming out of the break. He said, quote, "The only thing I realized from watching the game last night was how is it possible that anybody is 20 points ahead of this team? That's pretty much unthinkable, actually. So we must have done, obviously, a couple of things really well and right that we can have this situation here. But no, I don't think about City catching us or whatever." So, very interesting words from Klopp. Liverpool pretty much have the league wrapped up, but they've been, maybe not playing at their absolute best as of yet. But
I can tell you that has changed. They're currently 4-0 up on Crystal Palace in the 80th minute, and they have been incredible. They've been incredible. Curse. Yeah, they have been. They've scored some really good goals in this game.
Oh yeah,
so
the first free kick by Trent.
The free kick was good. Fabinho scored like a 25-yard screamer from outside the box. Mane scored, and I believe Salah scored as well. So they seem to be firing on all cylinders, which means that if City drop points, I think either drop points or lose, I'm not sure which one, to Chelsea on Thursday, then Liverpool will be league champions before they have to play Manchester City next Thursday. It could be as soon as tomorrow that Liverpool fans' wait is up and over, and it will be a sad day.
Any day now. But speaking of City, Sergio Aguero, he had surgery on his left knee in Barcelona, and some reports of it being him probably being out 5 to 6 weeks, possibly being ready for if next season happens and whatnot. But he was forced off at halftime in their 5-0 win over Burnley on Monday, and that was a challenge by defender Ben Mee. But even then, it's like Liverpool are pretty much getting a lot of luck still this season. Aguero going down that early, that would have maybe prolonged at least the wait for Tanner for a while. But
I was
anyway,
always going to be left disappointed. It is what it is.
But speaking of Ben Mee and Burnley, they said they are ashamed and embarrassed by a banner reading "White Lives Matter Burnley" that was towed by an airplane over Etihad on Monday's match. And the Clarets skipper Ben Mee said that fans like that don't deserve to be around football. He said, "We're ashamed, we're embarrassed. It's a minority of our supporters. I know I speak for a massive part of our support who distance ourselves from anything like that. It definitely had a massive impact on us to see that in the sky. We are embarrassed that our name was in it. They tried to attach it to our club. It doesn't belong anywhere near our club. I mean, I think for me, I think there's a lot of people that still haven't understood that Black Lives Matter isn't an attack on white people or other races, that it's a cry for help. That, I mean, people just need to really understand that, you know, they're seeking equality. I mean, it's just insane that we even have to still say that, but I think there are people maybe willfully being ignorant to it. But what do you guys think? Mark?
I just, I think the guy who paid to have this flown over an empty stadium is a moron. Like, the whole
more
point
than a
of
moron, yeah.
yeah, exactly, for multiple reasons. But like, the whole point of doing that gesture or whatever is that a crowd sees it and riles up the crowd or whatever. There's no fucking crowd. There's just the players and the refs. So like, yeah, screw that guy. And like, that happened in the first half, and I think by halftime, Burnley had a statement out condemning it and so on. I thought the club and the players handled it really well. I just want to take a moment to say too, I really appreciate what I've seen from the Premier League in terms of the respect, you know, the kneeling, some players raising fists. And it seems in general the league is backing the players to say how they feel and, you know, to speak up about racism. I mean, players like Raheem Sterling have been doing this for years now in terms of how they're treated by the media and so on. And I think that's just another example that Black Lives Matter isn't about one specific issue in one specific country. Like, this is just about how Black people are treated across the globe in a lot of different situations. And so I think, you know, I don't really see it as Premier League players just parroting something that's happening in another country. I think that this is the movement taking hold, and it's a moment for players to say, look, like, this is what we deal with, and we're human beings. So I love it. I love it. And like, yeah, again, White Lives Matter thing doesn't really deserve, you know, much more attention. I think the movement has been wonderful. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, and K-pop stans have definitely done their part in quelling all of that, at least reportedly anyway. But at least, yeah, if you click on the hashtag, it's a lot of K-pop stuff. So, you know, much power to the K-pop stans. But Tanner, you have any thoughts on this?
No, I don't need to say anything that Mark hasn't already said. I think he hit the nail on the head on that.
Yeah. So anyway, that does it for the entire news segment. And this moves us on to a little bit of housekeeping in that, yes, we have a Twitch channel, and yeah, we've been playing Atlanta United in the EFL Championship, and Tanner has been, yeah, willfully bringing that along, and it's been awesome. He's been doing really, really well in the league. Really not too many hiccups so far. Beat Everton 7-1.
I can't afford any hiccups in the league right now because frickin' West Brom won't drop points and have only conceded 2 goals in 16 games. If I drop points, I'm not even in first. I'm in second. And this is outrageous. This is annoying. 2 goals. Good lord.
Yeah. So it's very, very competitive in the championship, but hopefully we can gain promotion. Find out on twitch.tv/ATL Utd Fan TV. But anyway, moving on from that, we are doing a little bit different of a Soccer Trivia Showdown this week. We're calling it In the Club, and essentially it's a themed version of MLS players and Atlanta United players alike, and they, yeah, they're based on the clubs that they've played for. So Tanner, take it away. It's In the Club.
So basically, this is how this is going to work. I'm going to name a player, and I will say how many clubs they have played for. I will not name those clubs. And then what will happen is the two players, Marc and AJ, will be bidding against each other to see who can name more clubs. Now, you can either bid a higher number if you think you can bid more, or you can tell the other person to name the clubs if they've already said, say, 4, for instance, and you don't think you can name 5. You can tell them to name 4. Every player that I will say will have played in MLS at some point in time. So that's the key linking here. Atlanta has a very short history, so I'm not going to have a lot of those, and also a lot of them don't have that long of a list in terms of the number of clubs they played for. But there are some familiar names that people should be aware of here. Since AJ is the reigning champ of trivia, he will have the option of going first here. And the first player that we will have for our trivia is Michael Bradley, and he has played for 7 clubs. AJ, how many do you think you can name?
I think I can name 3.
3. Mark, do you bid 4, or do you want AJ to name those 3?
I want AJ to name those 3.
AJ, name me 3 clubs that Michael Bradley has played for.
Well, Toronto FC, obviously. Yeah, damn. I think you called my bluff here. Roma.
2.
Having trouble with that third one. Damn it. I'm trying to remember where he came up.
In MLS before he moved, yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. It's like cloudy. It's real cloudy.
All right, you got 10 seconds.
Okay. I'm gonna have to venture a guess here. Fire. It's not the Fire.
It is not the Chicago Fire. That is 1 point to Mark Nichols. Michael Bradley's other clubs that he had played for was, in order, the New York Red Bulls / Metro Stars, then Heerenveen in the Netherlands, then Borussia Mönchengladbach, Aston Villa, Chievo Verona, then Roma, then Toronto. So you had Toronto and Roma, but you had some other ones you could have gone with there as well. So, Mark, I'm expecting a good number from you on this next one, but it will still be a challenge nonetheless. Didier Drogba has played for 8 clubs.
Oh, come on.
How many can you name?
8. Okay. One club only counts once, right? Like even if you do multiple stints.
Just not multiple stints. Just the number of clubs he has played for. And if you get one wrong, AJ gets a point.
I can name 4.
AJ?
I'm thinking.
I think AJ definitely knows. AJ probably can name 4. You should be able to name 4 here.
Yeah, but name them. Go ahead.
All right.
Name them?
Okay. Montreal Impact, Chelsea, of course, Galatasaray, and Marseille.
Correct. You could have also gone for Phoenix Rising.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
You could have said Shanghai Shenhua, and then the 2 that would have been very difficult were the clubs he first made his professional appearances with, which is Le Mans 72 and Guingamp, which is where he was before he moved to Marseille.
Wait,
all right.
Hold on. This seems a little predetermined that he was going to get Didier Drogba, though. If I was going first always, and
No, I literally just picked out like a random one. I have a whole list here, and I just moved my iPhone, and that's the one that it stopped on. So, I mean,
okay, all right.
All right. Well, I mean, all right. Do you want? Well, I'm doing it again.
No.
So.
Yeah, no, just go.
Do you want to know
ahead
who else is on this list? Thierry Henry's on this list, so you could get Thierry Henry. So if you get him, then I expect to see something. All right. All right.
There you go.
So, AJ, it's over to you. Right. So, it's our first Atlanta United player, Chris McCann. He's played for 6 teams. How many can you name?
2.
2. Mark, can you name 3, or do you want AJ to name 2?
I want him to name 2.
Oh, he's definitely got this.
Oh,
You messed up on that one. Played him.
Yep. Atlanta United, obviously.
Yep.
DC United.
Of course. You also could have gone with Burnley, Wigan, Coventry, or Oldham, who he joined after he left DC United.
Yeah, I can.
All right. So it's 2-1 still to Mark. Mark. All right, this will be a good one. Zlatan Ibrahimovic has played for 9 clubs.
Okay.
How many can you name? I figure both of you know a fair few on this one. So this is going to be I think you guys can bid each other back and forth on this one, to be honest.
I can name 6.
6? Ooh, that's a big number. AJ, can you name 7 or more, or do you want Mark to name 6?
I'm counting right now.
I know, right?
No, go ahead, man.
All right.
Clubs.
All right. LA Galaxy.
Yes.
Manchester United,
Yes.
AC Milan,
Yes.
Inter Milan,
Yes.
Barcelona,
Yes.
Ajax.
Yes.
Woo!
You got it. You could have also said PSG and Malmo.
Oh, I forgot about PSG. Oh,
And Juventus. And Juventus.
I thought about Juventus last second, but I wasn't sure about that. But
Yeah.
yo, Asia, you could have taken me on that, dog.
I could have, but I wasn't sure if you actually knew all of them. If you just put up a big number, you know, just to start off. So it's fine.
Well, that's 3 for Mark. So I feel like Mark got lucky on this one a little bit with. First off, I thought AJ could name some more clubs from Didier Drogba, but I also was suppressed on the last one. Called 6, and he named 6. So he called his shot and he named it. So I have to give Mark credit for that when he does that. There's some other really good names on here that I think that will be interesting in the future in terms of when you get them and you realize A, that you thought they played for more clubs than they did, and B, you'll be surprised at some of the clubs they've played for, because I looked through some of these things and it's there's some very interesting spots that I did not know players stopped at on their careers. So there'll be some good ones coming up, that's for sure.
All right. So it's going to 5, right?
Yeah, I thought it was best of 5. Or we're going to 5.
Best
You want to
of
go?
5.
You want to go 2?
I thought we were
We're
going to 5. Yes.
All right, let's go to 5. Let's go to 5. We can go to 5.
Yeah, okay. Gotcha.
All right.
We were saying best of 5 before a pre-podcast saying best of 5 in terms of games.
Yeah, all right, let's 2-5. 2-5? Yeah, let's do it. I thought it was a bit short anyway, to be honest, and Mark got a bit lucky there. All right. AJ. Carlos Vela has played for 8 clubs. How many of them can you name?
3.
3. Mark, can you name 4?
No. No, I can't.
No?
I can't.
AJ, name me 3.
Okay, LAFC, Arsenal,
Uh-huh.
Real Sociedad.
Yep. Boom, boom, boom. Also could have said Chivas Guadalajara, Celta Vigo, Salamanca, Osasuna, and West Brom. But nailed that. So 3-2. All right. Mark. David Villa has played for 8 clubs. How many can you name?
I can name 3.
3. AJ has played for 8 clubs. Can you name 4? Or do you want Mark to name 3?
Go ahead, Mark.
All right. NYCFC,
Yep.
Barcelona,
Yep.
Valencia.
Boom. Bingo.
Nice.
Also
Good
could
job.
have said
Good job.
Sporting Gijon, Real Zaragoza, Atletico Madrid, Melbourne City, and Vissel Kobe in Japan, which is where he retired at.
I did not know he played for Atletico. Okay.
Yep. Boom. 4.
Okay,
Oh.
4. Okay.
Yep.
Heart's beating.
All
heart's
right.
beating.
All right. Let's see. Landon Donovan has played for 6 clubs, AJ. How many can you name?
Trying to make sure. Oh, shit. There's 3.
Can name 3. Mark, can you name 4?
Yes.
Can name 4. Mark's calling 4. All right. Mark. AJ, can you bid 5? Or no? Is Mark naming 4?
I almost pretty much have to go for it, or he. This is where the
Or
drama
do you think
is,
you
right?
can name 4? Yeah. If he wins, he walks off when he called his shot. Can you name 5?
I think it's. Let's see. Go ahead, Mark. Go ahead.
Mark,
All right.
name 4.
San Jose,
Mm-hmm.
LA Galaxy,
Mm-hmm.
Everton,
Mm-hmm.
Bayern.
Boom. Also could have said Bayer Leverkusen and Lyon. But yes, Mark nailed
Well
4. Yeah.
done.
His first actual professional start was with Bayer Leverkusen, then he moved to San Jose, the old San Jose, before they moved to Houston.
Oh, right.
And then he joined LA Galaxy and had his loan moves to Bayern and then Everton, and then obviously the weird little song at Lyon that he had where his favorite country was Mexico all of a sudden.
Very
So boom,
strange.
Marc
and
wins
bizarre.
5-2 in round one.
Well done, Marc.
Yeah,
Marc got a shot on a couple of those, so I got to give him props on that because
Yeah.
he definitely went for a high number, and he nailed those suckers. So I got to give it to him on that.
No, indeed, yeah. He had a very, very strong showing in this first game, and so yeah, it will be best of 5 for these. So it will be very interesting indeed. I, of course, did come back against Tanner, so
Exactly, AJ knows nothing of what it means to be down. He'll be fine. He'll come back.
early lead is nothing. Yeah. So anyway, that does it for In the Club, Soccer Trivia Showdown edition of that. But anyway, that does it for that, and so moves us on to the question of the day. And the question of the day is, what do you guys think of the MLS's back schedule? And is there a match that you are particularly looking forward to? Let us know in the comments below. But that does it for the entire show. And for Marc, for Tanner, I'm AJ. Remember to like, share, comment, subscribe. And thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you in the next video.